of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com. You know, sometimes school administrators get a little antsy when you get into this long break for the holidays, and they got to get right back to work. And, well, here's a guy getting back to work. Philip Martell, the superintendent of the River Valley School District, who tomorrow is going to be joining a panel discussion on unlocking career success. It's a webinar featuring the U.S. Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona, and he's here to talk with us about that and other issues this morning. Our visit presented by Marcus & Mack, voted best law firm and best personal injury lawyer 3 years in a row, and the Best of Indiana County contest. Visit them online at marcusandmack.com. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
And the same to you. Getting all itchy to get back to work there with the kids back in the schools. I know you've been working all along, but
oh, absolutely. We don't stop, and it's nice to have this break because you kind of get reinvigorated and get things back focused again, and everybody comes back and ready to go to hit the second half of the year pretty hard.
Yeah, and boy, it goes fast, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about this prestigious panel of which you'll be a part, and the webinar. That actually happens tomorrow, doesn't it?
It does, and to the administration, this administration's credit, while they've had their challenges in their 4 years, they've really made career-oriented education a focus of what they're doing. And, Secretary Cardona has done an incredible job. I'm just blessed to be part of what they've done because of what we're doing at River Valley. But this is kind of wrapping things up and handing it off to the Trump administration, which I believe will continue, understanding that, we're getting away from that college for all model. And it's just an opportunity to talk about the success we've had at River Valley, and that's why they've included us.
Well, they're going to unveil something called the Unlocking Career Success Playbook. I assume you've had a look at it already.
Yes, we have, and we've been really kind of like the poster child for it as far as giving students opportunities, in different career paths, whatever they choose, but also starting earlier, not waiting to that last minute in high school, but having those conversations, when students are really young and taking, what focus and direction that they have based on our use of the RISEC, which is a model developed by John Holland in the late 50s. Using that to really kind of determine where a potential pathway may be for a student, but then giving them the resources, support that they need to go further.
And I know we've talked before about this. You have made it a point of emphasis within the River Valley School District to get this started at the earliest stages of a student's school experience, all the way into kindergarten. I don't know if preschool's involved, but certainly by the time they are in elementary school, these kids they're working toward a goal. That maybe in the past it wasn't emphasized so much. It was more a general thing, but it really seems important to you and River Valley that they do this.
There's no question about it. And, I think if you look at the future of public education in this country, we are in a shift, and we have to be in a shift because, giving our students, but our younger generation the tools that they need to succeed, and very quickly. We're playing catch up on a lot of fronts, from a business perspective, obviously from a government perspective. The Chinese have what they've done in developing students and different things, and they're hitting things much quicker. And now it's time to play catch up on a lot of different fronts. And by doing that, we're giving students an opportunity to really succeed in something that they'd like to do. And in the same sense, saving parents 6 figures of college debt, possibly that they, may just be spinning away because it's something they think their son or daughter may want to do, but they're not sure. So why not give them that opportunity earlier, to see what they like, but more importantly, Todd, to see what they don't like. Mm-hmm. And I think that's important too, because I just look back at my own self. I never thought I'd be in education, 30 some years later, but it worked out well. But imagine if you knew that going in, potentially how your career would look.
Now, one of the things that people might be worried about or concerned, at least, is that they target a specific area where they're very much interested, and they do that at a young age, and then those interests change because they do for kids over the course of a year. Every kid wants to be a veterinarian when they're in first grade, but then career goals get more defined. The older you get, the more further along you get on the road toward where it is that you'll eventually end up. And I know you've built the flexibility in so that they aren't pigeonholed into what they identify as a younger kid. And that they can't escape from something that they're not going to actually develop.
There's no question about it. And we, even with the use of the RISEC codes, where our students take their top 3 codes, there's nothing, out of the question that says they can't live in some of the other codes. So, like, you wouldn't believe that I would be artistic by the way I defined in my codes. But I like to use certain softwares to design different things in that. So we don't want a student to be pigeonholed. You'll never have that with us. And our staff works very diligently to understand that. Once they start to understand the student's strengths, interests, and values, what that particular student likes, but also allows them to explore other areas just to make sure.
Now, this is called the Unlocking Career Success Playbook. And River Valley, if I understand, you're one of 11 districts across the nation that have been chosen to sort of be at the forefront of all of this. Have you been able to work with those other districts, or at least to network with them to find out what's working for them, what you can contribute to their efforts and they can contribute to yours?
Yes, we have. We've been, as far as from a leadership perspective, because a lot of these schools too, what's made us very unique, as you know, is we're a rural school district. So there are a lot more rural school districts in this country than people think. Okay, so having those conversations and showing those best practices, not only just with schools in our region like Vanessa and Charleroi, other schools, but I mean taking it nationally and helping a school in Alaska that's really on an Indian reservation that has severe challenges. But I mean, giving them the support that they need to maybe implement 1 or 2 changes can have a dramatic impact.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you'll have the opportunity to talk about that tomorrow in this event. Now, people can watch this, I presume, this webinar. Is it something that you can actively join?
Yeah, absolutely. It's our public relations director should put it out, but it's a national event. It's open to any educator in the United States. But again, it's just sharing those best practices. Secretary Godon has done an incredible job understanding that this needs to be at the forefront of American public education. And I'm hoping that Secretary McMahon, incoming Secretary McMahon, will have the same emphasis in giving the power back to the school districts, getting it out of the regulations of the federal government and giving it back to the districts who can make the best decisions for their sons and daughters.
From your standpoint, are you actually going to be physically in the room with the others that are taking part in the webinar, or how does it going to work?
It's an actual webinar. It was kind of interesting, but it's not surprising, I guess, because, a lot of things are at the last minute. We were actually on vacation, my wife and I got the call. So it'll actually just be a webinar because it was put together pretty much at the last minute. But trying to, like I said, to get that final push out, what they've done, what's available out there for districts. So it'll be an actual full-fledged webinar.
Mm-hmm. All right. There you go. So that's happening tomorrow, and I'm sure that if any educator is interested, they can get in touch with their own school district and learn more about joining in and seeing what this is all about. Congratulations on that, by the way, River Valley. That's a big milestone for you.
It is, but it just shows the hard work that our staff, our staff is just incredible in what they do with our students. We're very blessed in our school district to have the support also from our board of school directors down. Like, it's really a comprehensive approach. And, we'd like to tell the story. I always, it's something I've made an emphasis. We have to tell, people about our success, but also where we've struggled at. So sometimes they don't make the same mistakes that we have done in the past. And, we learn. Learning is like what they say, K to gray, right? It's a lifelong experience.
River Valley Superintendent Philip Martell with us here this morning on Indiana in the Morning. So we head into the second part of the year, and I know it's not the actual natural break into the second half, but we tend to look at it that way as September to Christmas and then there and forward for the rest of the year. So as we think about that and you look back on the first portion of the year and on to the second, are you satisfied that the school district is doing what needs to be done to get these folks moving along in their educational path?
We are, but we can always, do things, a little bit better. And we continually, as I say, we're not evolving and we're not changing year to year. Then that falls on me, because this is a continuing process that has to change. We have to be able to provide those resources and pathways for our students, and the resources for our staff to continue to develop them. So the challenge is constantly now changing, evolving, giving them those up-to-date resources, techniques, technologies, How do we do that and continually work on doing that? And it's a struggle at times because finances are, right now are tough across the country, as we know. Hopefully that'll get better. But, we always find a way to get things done, whether it's grants and different pathways, but we're very successful in that. And we're very proud of that. But at the end of the day, we look at the outcome for our students.
And we know, of course, that a school superintendent's job really has a number of different arms attached to it. One of those is the educational arm, and you're very much concerned with that. That has to be the top priority, but also marshaling your resources, making sure that things are being spent wisely. The budget process is a big part of what you do, too. What about that process? Is it going well?
It's a challenge, I will tell you. We've had a 25% increase in healthcare over the last 2 years and different things. Those costs are real hard costs, but we also, we're very fortunate we've been able to operate within our budget the last couple of years. But those challenges, I don't think are going to go away no matter, what happens, because it's an evolving animal, the whole budget process. So hopefully, if those costs come down, we're getting out of this era where COVID, we've really seen the impact of a lot of people. Skipped a lot of those normal tests and different things that they would go for during COVID, and that's what we've seen, the increase in healthcare. But now those costs are coming down slightly, so that's beneficial. But we start the budget process, and it's a challenge every year. But we find a way to get it done through, our normal revenues, and we look to continue to grow our revenue through outside grants.
It's interesting you say that because we had the DA in earlier this morning, District Attorney Bob Manzi, and he was talking about finally feeling like they've caught up to the COVID backlog in cases in the Indiana County court system. I know as an educator, of course, there have been many stories that we have heard of the education gap, the COVID gap that school districts had to overcome. Do you feel that River Valley is sufficiently over that you're back to the kind of strength that you enjoyed before COVID in terms of the kids' education?
I wish I could honestly tell you that would be the case, but I've said this all along. There's going to, the COVID problem as far as public education is a 10-year problem. We're still seeing struggles from students, from that era, and some of them have not come back fully to school to adapt. But we have to make accommodations for them, and we are trying. But I don't know if we'll ever get over it. That's the crazy thing. It's just something. It's a remarkable event, obviously in our lifetime. But it's going to continue to be a challenge because some students never did. Well, they were not able to make that leap back, and it's very unfortunate. But we make available resources to help them as much as we can.
Yeah. You wonder about those kids that have already graduated and moved on, and had that bit of a lag in their educational experience, but they were still able to graduate and move on. Hope that they found a way to make up for those losses. Philip Martell, thank you so much for visiting with us today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, always, my friend, and Happy New Year's, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Happy New Year to you as well.